Now, back home, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, has declared that Britain's benefits system isn't working for anyone.
Well, that's amid growing tensions within government over reported plans to slash welfare spending in the spring statement, which is just a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, so this is what the Chancellor recently had to say on this very issue.
Well, we'll set out our plans for welfare reform, but it is absolutely clear that the current system is not working for anyone. It is not working for people who need support. It's not working to get people into work so that more people can fulfil their potential. And it's not working for the taxpayer when the bill for welfare is going up by billions of pounds in the next few years. So we do need to get a grip. We need to spend more on national defence. We need to reform our public services, and we need to reform our broken welfare system.
And the problem she's got is that half the Cabinet are apparently opposed to those plans. So is it going to be the right thing to do, to squeeze the welfare state?
Especially when it's being reported that, oh dear, she received free tickets to a Sabrina Carpenter concert.
What's a woman of that age doing going to a pop concert?
That's the big question.
Frankly, I mean, she might be younger than me, but I mean, even so.
I know.
Very odd. Anyway, someone who would never go to a pop concert is Kevin Schofield, political editor of Huffpost UK. I hope you won't, Kevin. I mean, this is a tough one, isn't it? I mean, for the Labour Party, because, I mean, it sounds like... the Conservatives didn't have the kahunas to do this.
No, it was funny you should say that. I was speaking to one Conservative MP last week who, that was the point he made. You know, he says this is the type of thing that we should have done, but he says we probably wouldn't have got away with it because we'd have got so much flack, heartless Tories, this is what you're all about, and the Labour Party would have absolutely nailed us for it, he said. So I wish we'd done it. So maybe it's the Labour Party, a bit like Nixon going to China. You know, you get that because it's like not expected. You get given the benefit of the doubt. So, but undoubtedly, Labour MPs are very unhappy. Cabinet members are unhappy about this. You speak to lots of Labour MPs who'll say, this is not what I got into politics for.
Exactly. It's not very Labour.
Exactly. I didn't come in to hit people, take the benefits off some of the most vulnerable people in the country. But, you know, from speaking to people in Number 10, they're not going to U-turn on this. They see this, I think a lot of it is a bit of a test of strength, that they want to push this through, show that they're serious about getting to grips with the economy. And if it means upsetting Labour MPs and Labour ministers, then they'll just go ahead and do it anyway.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's almost being reflected from the other side of the pond as well. I mean, I know it's a Republican government over there, and this is a Labour government here, but they're still facing the same sort of problems. They've got to get to grips with something, and they clearly have thought it through and are prepared for bad news now, hoping that things will recover later.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is just the latest, if you remember, the winter fuel payments, even, you know, taking money from the international aid budget to boost defence spending. Yeah. This is, again, the type of stuff that you would not expect a Labour government to be doing. But, you know, I think that Keir Starmer definitely already has an eye on the next election. It's all about sending out a message that, no, this is not your sort of traditional Labour government. We are willing to take these tough calls.
But the language is important. I mean, even you said, Kevin, a minute ago, it's about taking money off the most vulnerable in society. I mean, the argument here is they're not the most vulnerable in society. These are people who might have an issue or might be sort of claiming mental health stuff or long-term sickness and all the rest of it. But actually, they need to be getting to work, whilst those people who really can't work need to be looked after better.
Yeah, well, you know, there's a reasonable number of Labour MPs who make the case that say, well, look, the clue is in the name. We're the Labour Party. We should be about getting people into work. We shouldn't be allowing people to be trapped on a life of benefits. So, on the one hand, they're supporting it. I think where a lot of Labour MPs get a bit queasy, though, is when it's the PIP, the personal independence payments, which, you know, a lot of these people who receive it genuinely cannot work. They need this money for things like wheelchairs, for things like making their homes a bit more accessible. And they think that they should not be seeing their payments frozen, which is effectively a real terms cut, which apparently is what's going to be announced next week.
And even if you support, even reluctantly, maybe some members of Cabinet support this, it doesn't sit very well alongside immigration, does it? And the way we do seem to be treating immigrants in this country. They don't have to work, and yet they get put in hotels and supported in all sorts of ways that our citizens aren't.
Well, I mean, that is certainly one of the arguments that's put forward. And again, this is something else, I think, right now. We're not talking about it much at the moment, but if you look at the numbers coming over in small boats, Obviously, one of the key things in the election that Keir Starmer talked about was smashing the gangs. That was how they would stop these small boats crossing. As soon as the weather gets better, more and more of these boats are coming. So thus far, at least, those policies don't appear to be working. And further down the line, unless they get on top of that, then I think that's going to be a major problem.
We haven't actually heard anything about smashing gangs,
No, we haven't.
since the election.
Well, I mean, there's been the odd announcement here and there. I mean, Labour will say, well, look, we're sending more back to where they came from than the Conservative Party did for years and years and years. But again, people only look at the top line of how many are coming in the first place. And at the moment, it doesn't appear, well, it's certainly not slowing down from when the Conservatives were in power. And as I say, that is something that Labour are going to be judged by come the next election for sure.
OK. Kevin, for now, thank you. We'll see you later.
Oh, we do live in...
And sort of added to the mix of all of this, which is just very bad timing, very bad optics, reports today that the Chancellor got free tickets to see a Sabrina Carpenter concert. Who, you may well ask? Well, she's an upcoming pop star for sort of teenage girls, really. But these tickets cost about £1,000.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but, well, how you spent £1,000 on tickets. Maybe she took a lot of people with her. I mean, is that something that gets you worked up at all? It's like you were saying earlier, it's not very good at reading the room, though. When you're taking money off pensioners and possibly farmers and things like that, taking £1,000 worth of tickets doesn't feel right.
Doesn't at the moment. Let's talk to political commentator Andy Preston, who joins us now. Good to see you, Andy. I mean, how much of a bind is the Chancellor in with this? Because it may not be popular, even with half the Cabinet, the idea of cutting back on these welfare payments. However, it's quite a Conservative policy.
Hi, Stephen. Hi, Anne. Yes, this is absolutely a centre-right move. Look, this is not part of Labour's DNA. None of them want to do this. It's going to cause carnage, I think, for weeks and months to come. And three things come to my mind. We've got hypocrisy. Imagine if Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak had imagined this. Can you imagine the trolling that we'd have seen from Labour MPs and supporters? It's a desperate move because we're in dire financial straits, and there's a 40 billion black hole out there because we've got zero growth instead of 2%. And it's going to lead to political civil war, Stephen, as you were saying. But on that note, actually, I think there's less of an issue with the MPs in my mind. I think that the MPs will largely fall into line. It's with the Labour membership, which tends to be further left of centre. And with the local elections looming, the membership of the people out there, they're the foot soldiers. They go out and leaflet, they knock on the doors, they get the support for the looming local elections, which are going to be a big issue for Labour and the Tories as Reform steals loads of council seats.
It may not be an easy ride at the local elections for any of the parties. I mean, none of them are at their best at the moment, are they?
Absolutely, Anne. They're all struggling. I mean, Reform has had a fairly tricky week, but they remain incredibly strong. I'm not trying to lobby for them here, but they are. The popularity continues to grow. Every week that goes by, they seem like more of the establishment and less of an upstart protest party. So we would expect in those elections Reform to do really well, the Tories to do badly, and Labour to struggle as well. But there's a long time to go. And this disability cuts bill will undoubtedly damage confidence and harmony within Labour, and that will translate to a loss of council seats.
But it's interesting, is it? Because the money's got to come from somewhere, and they're cutting the international aid budget with this. They're getting rid of the biggest quango, NHS England, and this move as well. I mean, it might upset a lot of people, but at least it's not taking more money off pensioners.
Well, Stephen, there's nowhere else to go. The cupboard's bare financially, and this is actually the last thing I'm sure Rachel Reeves, Keir Starmer, and anybody else on the Labour side wants to do. But I think most of us realise it is necessary. The system doesn't work. It does seem to disincentivise people to getting into work, so it needs reform. But Labour aren't really up to doing this. It's something they are absolutely financially obliged to do. It's a necessity, and let's see how this shakes out. There are going to be headlines on it for weeks and months, and the Times had a headline the other day suggesting that there could be disabled people pushed to suicide when this comes in. And heaven forbid, if that does happen, or even if it's reported to have happened, the political repercussions of that will be immense.
Okay.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thank you.